Hello, my name is Vera V, and welcome to the 33rd and last episode of my podcast, Stories by Vera V, for a while. No, I am not quitting, but season 1 is ending. That's exciting. But at the same time, it's a weird feeling because I've been doing this podcast since November 1st, and it's been 4 months. 4 months of my life. How many hours have been put into this? A lot. 33 whole episodes. Isn't that crazy? So I'm going to be talking about explaining the situation, why I'm deciding to take a little bit of a break, and also discussing all I've learned on season 1 of my podcast, Stories by Vera V. So, per usual, buckle up, buttercup, because we're in for a ride for a while. Yeah. Interesting stories by interesting people. Stories by Vera V. Gosh, actually, I'm sweating. I don't know. I like I said, I feel uneasy. Have I said this in this take or the previous one? Some things never change. Sometimes I re-record my episodes 4 times, and who cares? I'm better for it. So I have notes on my phone just to make sure that I cover everything. But this podcast has been a large part of my life, right? It really has. It has. I've been uploading 2 times a week, and that's a lot of content. All things considered, I'm also present on Instagram and on YouTube and, well, TikTok, kind of. I don't really count that, though. No, but still, I'm present on a lot of social media platforms, and I share my thoughts there as well. So here, it was really a very specific dedication of my time and energy, which I absolutely loved. This was a passion project. You know how much money I made on season 1 of Stories by Vera V? $38. Just kidding, not even. It's like 37 something. I've not had any sort of advertisements except for Anchor. Anchor, the distribution platform. So that's that. And that's literally it. Like, this was a passion project from the get-go. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to capitalize, not at all. Because at the end of the day, when you can combine passion with your work and your passion becomes your work, that's an amazing thing. But this was just a passion project, just for myself, no monetary gain, just memories and definitely an expansion of horizons. Because if you've been listening from the get-go, my first guest was a pianist, right? And that was great. And honestly, just starting it, that was the first episode I ever recorded. I didn't even record an individual one. The first episode I recorded for this podcast has been with a guest. And that is what I've intended all along. The intent of this podcast has been interesting stories by interesting people, right? That's the little slogan, which I love, by the way. Let me know if you do. If not, why am I always thinking of the negatives? If you do, period. Anyway, and I just didn't really know where it was going to go or how it was going to turn out. But what ended up is I met so many amazing individuals. I'm currently following all of them on Instagram. It's great. No, it's a really fun time. And the thing is, I think for this season specifically, it was just to prove to myself that there are people in the world working on themselves and working towards their goals and their dreams as avidly as I am. Because up to that point, up to starting a podcast, I didn't even think that there were people like that. I don't know why. I just haven't really encountered them at school or around me, but this podcast has really shown me that there are people who work on themselves and who have ambitions and dreams and who are practicing, I don't even know, piano, how many hours a day? 8 hours a day for 3 months just to get better. You know what I mean? That's crazy to me. And I didn't think that was a thing. Like, obviously it was. But at the same time, I just didn't encounter that in my life. And this was an opportunity for me to do that. So for that, I'm grateful. And also, I'm grateful for you for listening. Because like I've mentioned 2 times prior, this was a complete passion project. To this day, I don't really know how many people listen to my podcasts. Like, I've never really concerned myself with that at all. But what's important to me is just that I feel the love, and I felt it all throughout. From the get-go. Is the get-go my new favorite phrase? I don't know, but it's just so addicting to say. The get-go. Reminds me of Geico insurance. I think it's an insurance. I don't know. No free plugs here. No, I'm kidding. So I think what's important for me is just feeling the love from the beginning, and I've done that. I don't know how many people have listened to my episodes. I literally don't. I barely even checked. Throughout the 4 months, maybe I've checked, I don't know how many times. Because quite honestly, I didn't concern myself with that. It was just a passion project. It's coming straight from my heart. And I love that. I think it's very important to have a hobby like that. However, because it was a passion project, right? And I still considered it part of my work because it's part of the brand. It's part of everything I do. Very important. But at the same time, there comes a point sometimes where people, well, no, not people, things you love, they just start feeling like a chore. Maybe people, I don't know. I haven't encountered that. Let me know if you have. Things you love start feeling like a chore. And I feel like that's a very dangerous point because if you keep pushing, well, you don't really know where you're going to push yourself to. You know what I mean? And with this podcast, I'll be blunt and I'll be honest, it started feeling like a chore maybe 2 weeks ago. So that's when I knew. I was like, well, season 1 feels done. I don't know why or how I know. I don't know. It just kind of came to me, the idea that maybe I need to wrap things up with season 1. Regarding season 2, though, it's coming. Yeah, I just don't know when. It depends on this one factor, which I'll maybe share in the next season. How exciting. Little cliffhanger for you to look forward to. Oh yeah, I'm also going to get into all the things I learned in season 1. I don't know why I'm talking. I like having a podcast because I can just talk. Talking feels so great to camera. Well, March 30th, I'm going to be talking to a live group of people via Zoom, but still, it's a conference. First time I'm doing. See, this podcast has given me so much. I've built so many skills. What was I talking about? I don't know. One of the skills that I need to build is just remembering what was the last thing I said. Yeah, so season 2 is coming. I'm just not sure exactly when. Depends on this one factor. I'll share it in season 2, maybe on the first episode. I don't know. So it may be a year. It may be 3 months. It may be, well, not 2 weeks, but like at least 2 or 3 months. We'll see. I don't know. But season 2 is going to be a little bit different. I'm not sure how exactly, but I just know I don't want to keep doing the same thing. Because, changing, evolving. That's fun. All right, I've covered that. All of the episodes for this podcast will obviously remain. Feel free to go back and listen to any of them. Personally, my favorites are ones with the guests. And my individual ones, what I think is really cool, it's kind of like a diary of sorts. I can listen back to them whenever and just put myself in that headspace in which I was however long ago, Because when I started this podcast, I was a high school senior. I was still playing tennis. And I was just thinking about starting my music career. And now I'm about to release my first song in 9 days. 8 days, I think, when you're listening to this. Or so. I don't know. Depends on when you listen to this. But tomorrow it's going to be like 8 days or something until I release my song. I've graduated high school early. I don't play tennis anymore because I just did it for school. And things are just happening so fast, I feel like, in my life. I'm working on a lot of new projects. I'm uploading 1 YouTube vlog per week, or that's my goal. So if you want to catch me there, I'm on Instagram active, obviously, because I love Instagram, my community on there. So point is, a lot of things are happening, and it's just time for me to switch my focus. A lot of very exciting things, too. So follow my Instagram, and you'll be updated. All right, let's get to the lesson. So, oh gosh, what kind of a vibrato was that? I don't know. What I learned in season 1 of Stories. First lesson is, and it's something that I've been preoccupying myself as of late, I'll be honest with you. It's okay not to know what you're doing exactly. Most people don't. That's a thing I've kind of always heard. Like, oh, it's okay to not know what you're doing, but I never really believed it. Because if you've been here with me from the beginning, you know that I'm quite an avid perfectionist. Let's just say that. I absolutely am. Perfectionism is something that just runs in my blood, and I really have to make an effort to detach myself from it, because with nearly everything and anything I do, I always hold myself to perfection. Perfection. Not even the best I can be, perfection. So I have to tell myself, like, Shawty, what's up? You know what I mean? And I think it was yesterday, I was just talking to my dad about all my projects that I plan on doing and things that are already happening. It's quite a bit. And he was like, wow, you're doing such a good job. Like, no one's pushing you to do any of this. You're just doing it all by yourself. Like, I'm not going to tell you what it is exactly, but like, think business related and other things. Like in music also, a lot of projects. Anyway, he's like, you're doing this all by yourself and this is so cool. And that's when it kind of hit me that, yeah, it is cool. And yeah, I am doing a good job. Because before that, I've been worried that whole day yesterday. I woke up feeling crappy. Crepe. I love grapes. I woke up feeling crappy because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I went to sleep that day being like, oh God, I have no idea what I'm doing in my life. Like, I'm 18 years old, I've graduated high school, and I still have not moved out, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? I don't plan on moving out, by the way, unless I'm moving in with someone, which is like a weird thing for you to know. But still, I don't know. Living in California is very expensive. Let's just say that. It is pa-ching, 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 over and over again. Very expensive. So, I don't know. See, I was kind of going down on myself. Is that the expression? I don't know. Getting down on myself. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I feel like what I said is just, it sounded wrong. But you know what I'm trying to say. I've been really getting down on myself about not having everything figured out until I realized that I'm literally 17 years old. I'm 17 years old. And age, it's not an excuse. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm just a kid. Like, I'm just a minor, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm a person, and I feel a lot older than I feel like I am. But at the same time, I am only 17 years old. I'm literally a teenager. I'm about to turn the legal age. About to. What changed when I turned 18? Can I even go to clubs? No, right? Because it's 21 plus. Like, I can't really do anything else. But, all I know is that 18 is the legal age of consent in California. But I've known that because I took health and I loved health. So, well, I don't know what's going to change. The point is, a lot of things are coming, and it's okay not to have things figured out. If you've been listening to my podcast, I hope you've listened to the guest episode specifically. And a lot of people, like some particular ones come to mind, where they're training right now or practicing right now and putting in so much work. But then I asked them, where do you see yourself 5 or 10 years from now? And they're like, well, I don't really know. I'm taking things with the flow. And if you would have asked me that maybe 8 months ago, July, I keep referencing July in my podcast, or summer myself, or maybe even me a year ago, I would have been like, well, how do you not know? Like, how do you not have a specific vision of yourself? You know what I mean? Like, how do you not? But now I get it. I don't have a specific vision of myself. There's this one episode I have on my podcast. I don't know where I'll be in a year. And I mean it. I don't know where I'll be in a year. No idea. I don't know where I'll be in 5 or 10. I have I know a direction that I want to continue going into, but that's about it. I don't know for a fact. And that's okay. I don't even know where I'm going to be 3 months from now. Not really. I have plans, right? But things can turn out and you don't know how they're going to turn out. And that's fine. Just accept that as it is. So a lot of people, they don't know what they're really doing specifically. And that's fine. I feel like, honestly, when I was 15, I remember coming to my mom and I was bawling, crying. And I was like, Mom, if I don't become the greatest singer-songwriter in the world to ever live, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. That my life might end if I don't become that. And she's like, okay, well, I don't know if I've mentioned this in my podcast, but she said, well, picture yourself playing at a restaurant for people, and let's say you can make a financial living. Would that be so bad? And at the time I was like, yes, because if I'm not selling out Madison Square Garden or Staples Center, like I'm a failure. I'm a failure. Then my sister chimed in, and she was like, okay, well, there are a lot of ways to get to where you want to go. It doesn't have to be just music. And I was like, yeah, but I want it to be just music, just limiting my opportunities like this, right? And now I'm so much more chill about it, for lack of a better word. I absolutely am. I don't know where I'll be in a year. But thing is, it's good for the plot. I keep saying this to myself nowadays. It's good for the plot. If I knew everything that was going to happen months from now, or just if I had my whole life written out and I had this in a book, I would not want to read it. Because first of all, that's not possible. One decision affects everything else. I like to believe that I have free will. Somewhat. Somewhat. I like to believe that. I don't think everything is written out in the stars. You know what I mean? I don't like believing that. I think what I do now affects what happens to me tomorrow, or what happens to me 10 seconds after the thing that I do. I like believing that. But at the same time, it's good for the plot. I feel like suspense and just laying awake at night, not knowing where you're going to be a month from now, that's exciting. That's really dreadful. And I've been there and I am there a lot of the times. But at the same time, it's very exciting. And suspense is good for the movie. Think about any movie you've ever watched. Have things been crystal clear from the beginning? Answer is no. I've never watched your favorite movie. Maybe I have, probably not. But I know that things have not been crystal clear from the beginning because you need some sort of conflict, rising action, climax. You need all those things to make a story interesting. So nowadays, whenever I'm doubting, maybe I should know where I'm going to be, but I don't, like, oh gosh, I would just do everything to know. I just tell myself, it's good for the plot. I like not knowing. It's cool. Like, mystery is great. Mystery is great. Lesson 1. Lesson 2 is your pace will change, just keep moving. I have a whole episode on this about slowing down. Slow down, just keep moving. And then again, growth. When I started this podcast, I was still going to school. And I feel like when you go to school, especially like high school, where you're mandated by law to attend and sit at every lesson for however many hours a day, you just have a very different structure to your day. You have a very specific structure to your day, rather I say. You have a specific time for lunch and a specific time for break, and when you can hang out with your friends and when you have to work. And I was very productive when I started this podcast and when I was at school, because I had school. Now that I've graduated, I still am productive, but just maybe less productive. I don't know, just a little bit slower. And that's okay. What's most important is that I keep moving. I did graduate to kind of figure out what I want to do, which I know. You know what I mean? But then again, everything changes like all the time. Especially if you're like at this age as a teenager, young adult, things change so fast. I know what 18 means. That means I'm going to be a legal adult. Yeah, as a legal adult of 18, things change all the time so fast. And I feel like that's fine. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I have an idea, we've been over this, but I don't know exactly. And so, yeah, I've slowed down. My lifestyle has changed. I sleep. And a lot of night I take off. After dinner, I don't do anything. Nothing at all. Maybe like go to the gym, but nothing after that. Like I just chill. Crazy. I've never done that before because I've had a very rigid routine, And now I'm just kind of taking it day by day. So your pace will change. What's most important is just you keep moving. If I would have graduated high school and I'd been like, yeah, like I'm just trying to figure myself out, and all I did was lie in my bed watching TikToks, that would be one thing, right? But I'm still moving. I'm doing things. I'm making a lot of things happen, and it's exciting. It's fine that it's a bit slower because I'm older and things change. Doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going. What matters is that you're moving. Lesson 3. Oh, it's this, my favorite one. So there's this example in Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a cool book. I have it on Goodreads. I don't know if I have a review for it, but I think I rated it 4 out of 5 stars, or maybe 3. I don't know. It was okay. I like that book. There's this example with an ice cube melting. Ice melts at 0 Celsius, right? No, maybe 1 Celsius. Oh, I don't know. Gosh, this is a little bit embarrassing. I don't know. I think it freezes at 0. Yeah, it freezes at 0, melts at 1 Celsius, right? What's really interesting, the example that the book gives is that what matters is not that it melts at 1 degree, but all the degrees that lead up to it, all the heat that's put on it, right? That's not noticeable until the ice cube starts melting. So the point is, with any sort of breakthrough is a result of many previous little steps. For example, my song that I'm releasing March 26th on my 18th birthday. Do you think I just sat down and wrote that song? Was that a sort of independent occurrence, an independent action? No. What was that a result of? Oh, hundreds and maybe, honestly, thousands of hours of practice of music. That's what that was a result of. So obviously it's an independent occurrence in a sense that it's a work of art from beginning to end. Listen to it when it comes out. But at the same time, it's a result of many previous actions, any sort of breakthrough. I've talked about this before, but it's the same with overnight success, overnight stars. Like take Lizzo, for example. She kind of became famous out of nowhere, so it seems, right? But nobody talks about, she talks about it, which mad respect, but she's mentioned how her story involves her living in a car for 10 years before that breakthrough happened, before she became an overnight success. Overnight successes are not a thing, unless a person gets extremely lucky, but I still don't believe that. It's a result of many previous actions. For me now, I'm doing great on Instagram. I'm a creator. I'm a content creator. That's my job. Like that's great, right? I started social media the way I'm doing it now a year ago, April 2021, which I guess was 11 months ago. It was 11 months ago. Is that it? 11 months is all I put into it? That's it? No, that's not it. Because I've been making videos since I was 11. Were they a little bit different? Yeah. But point is, all that experience, 6 years of my life spent making videos and doing all of that, that is what resulted in me having my breakthrough, right? More to come, obviously, but this was it. This is it for now. And my breakthrough, 6 years. Cool. All right, next. Lesson number 4. It is important to go out and explore and expand your horizons. So this one specifically was inspired by a sailor I had. Would I call him a sailor? I don't know. Ian, if you're listening to this, no, he's probably not listening to this. It's fine. Anyway, he's one of the first episodes. So it's the guy who spent 6 years in a boat. And a year ago, I was not traveling as much as I am now. And the reason why I'm traveling so much is because my older sister, Leisha, love you, babe. She goes on a lot of weekend trips. And guess who she is generous enough to take? Me. And my mom comes along and my sister comes along, whatever. It's a really fun time. So we go and explore, like, I live in the US, in California, Southern California specifically. So last weekend we went to Phoenix, Arizona. That's super close, 7 hours away. But still, that's very close, but it's in a different state. It's a little bit of a different sort of thing. But point is, those little trips, they expand my horizons. And honestly, coming back after each and every one, I feel a changed person. I feel like I've been changed. I've been altered. I've been enhanced. I've been enlightened. I feel like a different person. And I think for me, exploring and traveling and going out of my little practice self-development bubble, it's very, very important. It is very, very important. A year ago, or even when I started this podcast, I would not in a million years sacrifice a piano practice for a trip. I would not sacrifice 3 days of practicing piano to go to Utah. Actually, I probably would have, because I've been a yes man since I've finished reading Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, where she just says yes to everything. So yeah, I probably would have. But I would not sacrifice a piano practice to go to the beach with with my sisters at night. I actually refused at one point because I just wanted to practice piano. Do I regret that? No. But point is, now I just see things kind of more out of my usual bubble. You know what I mean? Life is about, oh gosh, I did not mean to start it like that. This is a very loaded phrase. Life is about, I don't know what life is about. I only know what life is about for me. But what I'm trying to say is that practicing is very important, right? But what's the point of practicing if you're not going to share? Huh? And I still have trouble with this. I'm still working on it. But the point of life, it's not to be in a vacuum, like practicing over and over and over again. You know what I mean? With art, it's very important to get inspiration from the outside sources, because ultimately, we don't live for art. And I have trouble with this. So I'm really speaking to myself when I say this. I don't live to make art. I live and I make art. You know what I'm trying to say? It's that little switch of emphasis. Because before, when I started this podcast, for example, it was absolutely a crazy idea to me to think about like not doing anything for, let's say, I don't know, 3 hours. Like absolutely crazy. I would not have done that back then. I don't think. Maybe I need to listen back to my old episodes, but I would not have done that. But now I realize that sometimes that's just what we need to do. It's good to just sit and think sometimes, or it's good to watch a bad movie because sometimes it inspires something else. Point is, I've grown. And it's important to go out and expand your horizons because that's part of life. That's what life is about, essentially, expanding your horizons. That's, I think, the ultimate, it's so hot in my room, the ultimate intent behind self-development. It's not to get into a very rigid routine and wake up at the same time every day and do the same things every day. But at the end of the day, it's about also exploring. Obviously, a lot of our lives are mundane, and that's fine. Like work takes up most of our days, especially if you work a traditional job like a 9 to 5. That is how many hours? Someone do the math for me. I'm kidding. I could do that myself. It's 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. It's a very stable, very mundane sort of part of our lives. Same with musicians. Like they practice, but at the end of the day, what they're doing, they're getting the ass on a bench. They're plopping down. I love that. They're plopping down and they start hitting little keys with their fingers for however many hours a day. That's very mundane and that's fine. That's majority of our lives. That's what it's always going to be. That's fine. It's coming home to our families and having dinner at approximately the same time every day. That's fine, right? But it's the little things that make it exciting. But at the same time, it's very important when you have an opportunity, I feel like, well, for myself, to go out and see something else, to meet someone new, to just live, expanding horizons, live. That's what life's about. But at the same time, it's very important to practice. Quite obviously. I'll always stand by that. It's also very important to be able to adjust. That is my next lesson. And by adjusting, I mean a specific episode comes to mind, a specific example. But like I've mentioned, a lot of people don't know where they're going to be. A year from now, however long from now, they may have an idea, they may be super confident in it, but things can change a billion times. So it's very important to adjust, 100%. I've faced a lot of, well, not a lot, but I don't even know. I've faced some obstacles in my life and some things where things just didn't even go as planned. And that's fine. Like I've mentioned, I would have loved in the past to just know exactly where I was going to be. And you know what's interesting? You may not know this, but up until I was 11 years old, I wanted to be a professional tennis player. Then I wanted to be a professional actress. I also wanted to be a professional dancer, I think at some point. I don't even know. But the point is, I wanted to be a lot of things. And sometimes things just don't go the way you expect them to. So it's important to adjust because plans change. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just the quality of plans. Plans always change. What's important is to keep moving and just adjust as you go. Things, they don't always work out in our favor. And I've had that happen. I can't think of any specific examples for some reason. I don't know. Maybe because the heat is getting to my brain because it's really hot right now. But I have a specific example. So I was, in the summer, I was going to do this one project, right? And it turned into my online store, by the way, growingtogether.store. It turned into that. But I was trying to start a project and it did not work out. Like every step of the way, it was so difficult, it was so hard. And that's when and then I realized that it's not supposed to be like that. And at the end of the day, what happened is that I was led away from that by the universe or, I don't know, myself, my futures, I don't know. The point is I was led away from that and it's for the best. So oftentimes what's important to remember is that rejection is redirection. It is. So we can whine about it all we want. We can ponder, we can be sad, but it's redirection. It's like with, I don't know, say you're dating someone, right? Very simple example. You're dating someone, things are going great. All of a sudden, out of the blue, they're like, hey, I think we should break up. And you're like, oh my gosh, am I being dumb right now? And they're like, yes, you are. You're like, okay, well, you imagined a future with this person. You thought you was going to have their babies. And now what? Now you don't have them. Now you are single, right? Wow. Very big change of plans. But then say, however long later, you meet a person and you realize in that healthy relationship that perhaps your last relationship was just not it. And you would not have grown as much as you have had you not spent that time alone or had you not met that person. So the point is, rejection is redirection. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Hail rejection. Next, discipline is a large part of creativity. I feel like if you think about a creative person, what comes to mind is kind of like the stereotypical, I lie in bed until inspiration strikes, and when it does, I go to write. Like discipline, you don't really associate that with creativity at all, which I feel like is weird. Maybe it's just me. Let me know if it's just me. But for me, when thinking about creative people, it's always been like, yeah, inspiration strikes. It's this whole story with Scott F. Key, who wrote the national anthem for United States of America. Very random example, but he was struck by this idea to write, and that's when he did it. Or maybe it was for someone else. Oh gosh, I don't even know. I don't even have my reference set in stone. It really is the heat getting in my head. I'm perspiring quite a bit right now. Point is, with creativity, and I think for any creator or athlete, or I think every person is creative. The four creatives specifically, you can't just sit around and wait for inspiration to strike. That's not how it works. With songwriting, because I've been doing it a lot more now. Like my first song's coming out, I'm already working on my second. I'm finishing it up. Let's just say that. So with that, I know that some days I have for songwriting, not for that song specifically, but just for anything. Some days are just really good songwriting days. They are. It just comes pouring out of me. That's actually how I wrote Alex, my debut single that's coming out March 26th on my 18th birthday. I'm so excited. That's how I wrote it. It just poured out of me. Some days I have to struggle. With this second song, for example, that I'm doing, it's a very heavy topic. Very heavy topic, right? I wrote this when I was dealing and coping with something that's very hard. Just very hard, very heavy topic. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but just I'll say it for the fourth time. Very heavy topic. And it's not coming to me as easily as the first song did. Not at all. What matters is every day, after I sing, I go to that piano and I write. It doesn't matter if I add a little chord to that song. It doesn't matter if I change the melody by one note. What matters is that I put in the work. So discipline is a very large part of creativity because discipline allows for more ideas to come because you have that foundation. I'll repeat. Discipline allows for ideas and just more creativity to flow in you like a little stream or channel because you have the foundation. Discipline is foundation. Very important. Very important. Next, it's good to be multifaceted. Also, a specific episode comes in mind about the Joseph, who is writing his PhD whilst writing a book. And he's also interested in woodworking and a bunch of other stuff. It's great to be multifaceted. And I know this because I'm multifaceted myself. I do a lot of things. I'm into the healthy lifestyle. I like working out. I like eating clean. Just whatever feels good to me, which I guess I would consider healthy. I like art. I like doing art. I'm so excited for the summer because, well, you're going to have to follow my Instagram and find out. But I like creating content on social media. I like reading. I obviously, very big part of my life, music. I'm a singer-songwriter. I do a lot of things. I stitch. I know how to stitch. Like, that's cool. Yes, I think it is. I'm flexible, and I'm just a very multifaceted person. I'm interested in a lot of things. And it's a great thing, because I think I read this one book, Grit by Angela Duckworth. And in the book, she talks about grit and the importance of it, and she talks about the importance of remaining focused. And so she was correct me if I'm wrong, I read that book a while back. She's a computer science student or so. And she was also practicing piano because she loved playing piano from a young age. And she realized that, she doesn't have a lot of time, so she quit piano to be a full-time computer science student. Her choice, good for her. But for me, some days, if I were to just quit everything else I do and just focus on music and that's it, I would not be able to do it. Maybe it's the kind of person I am, maybe it's the way I'm built, I would not be able to do it. Because when you have that many outlets to express yourself, if you get tired of one, you turn to the other. And indirectly or so, but that's exactly how it works. My art influences my singing. The more I draw, the better I sing. It's weird, but it has not a direct link, but it has an indirect and profound link to that, because I develop as a person. That's important. It's important to be multifaceted. So if you feel like you don't know what you're doing because you just have so many things, find a way to combine them. Not all of them have to be your job, I feel like, because I don't want to capitalize on everything I do. Like, that would be cool, but at the same time, I just want to have some things just for me, like stitching. I don't know. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. But I want to have some things just for me. And so if you feel like you have a lot of areas of your life that you're developing in right now, I just want to let you know you don't have to focus solely on just one. I feel like the more you have, the better it is for you, honestly. 2 more lessons left. It's okay to step away from things until you find joy in them again. And the episode that comes to mind is with the gymnast, Celine. Hi, if you're listening. She's amazing. She's great. I watch her every story, literally. I love watching people do stuff, especially gymnastics. And this also directly ties to this, because like I said, it started feeling like a chore, and I don't want my passion projects to ever feel like a chore. Some days you just know that, it feels like a chore, but you can get through this. But right now, it's been feeling like a chore for a while. So I know that it's time to step away. Same thing with tennis. When I started this podcast, I was a tennis player. I was playing with my school, varsity tennis. Oh, do you see my bicep? Haha, maybe. Cool stuff, right? And I actually quit tennis when I was 11, when I started pentathlon, which is an academic competition in 6th grade. And I came back to it when I was 16. That's a 5-year break. That's a really large chunk of my life, considering that I grew up playing tennis. It's had a profound effect on me. I'm also standing practically naked in front of an open window, and I see my neighbors in the window. So if I'm flashing anyone, I'm sorry, but I gotta finish recording this. Anyway, so it's okay to step away from things until you find joy in them again. Finally, if you take away anything from this, it's good for the plot. Any sort of difficulty you encounter in your life, any sort of difficulty I encounter in my life, I just tell myself it's good for the plot. Any sort of conflict, it's good for the plot. Those nights where you lay awake not knowing where you're going to be, good for the plot. Those days you wake up and you burst into tears and you don't even know what's wrong, it's good for the plot, because guess what? You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. Just give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. You got it. So with this, I finish. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Last one for a while. I will be back. I'll be back because I love talking way too much and also love my microphone. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening. And, well, this is good for the plot. What can I say?